Hello, I'm Kevin J. N. Hughes, author of The Undamned, and I'm sharing Doug Kohler's ghost story. So, um, I had just mentioned that he had seen this spooky face in the mirror, and he talks about the fact that for the most part, when he lived in the town of Glen Rock, New Jersey, um, his house wasn't very active unless he was home alone. There was something particularly kind of associated with or attached to him in the house, and it would sometimes seem to follow him as well. So sometimes he would see this figure in his bedroom window that I already mentioned. He would see this many times throughout his childhood, and people wouldn't believe him. But one day he was playing alone, and or many times actually, he says that he would be playing alone in his house, and all of a sudden, like the shades, he had these plastic shades on his window, and you could come open. Um, they would come open, but they would not. It wouldn't just. It was kind of difficult, he says, to get it on. Um, but then he was playing and he would see these things just kind of snap open, like something just yanked the string and pulled them open very forcefully. Uh, but he was alone in his room. He also refused to go into the basement of the house. And the reason he would refuse to go into the basement of the house is because he would see this shadow figure. I wanted to give his description of this shadow figure in particular because, interestingly, like many other people, he described seeing a shadow person wearing a hat. Now, Doug didn't call it the Hat Man. I just want to notice that Doug did not refer to this thing as the Hat Man. He just said he saw a shadow figure wearing a hat. But this is a very common paranormal occurrence that people call the Hat Man. Um, so I thought that was very interesting that Doug mentions this, and another thing he mentions that's sort of common to Hatman stories is that the basement could be pitch dark, no light at all, but he'd still be able to make out this Hatman figure in the basement, as if it was like darker than the darkness itself. Like it was almost an unnatural kind of darkness. And he said that even though it had no features, he could always tell that it was looking at him, and he always got the impression from it of malice. So, so these are occurrences that he had been having even from the time that he was a small child in the house that he grew up in.